Welcome to the Harshman Travel Radio Show segment on Building Fortunes Radio with your hosts Pamela and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingles. Make sure you check us out by clicking on the Harshman Travel Radio Show link on buildingfortunesradio.com. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. Pam and Ron's success as entrepreneurs has allowed them to pursue their passion in the travel industry. Listen to Harshman Travel Radio Show and learn about Pam and Ron as they discover the joy that comes from being part of the travel industry. You might have a chance of working with them in their business ventures and your travel plans. So listen in and enjoy the journey. Now on to our Building Fortunes Radio Show with Pam and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingles. Let's get started, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. This is our super-duper very special segment on Harshman Travel. When we first got started with Building Fortunes Radio, which is way back in late 2012, I decided that I wanted to use this as a platform to share, like a big microphone, and share with our universe and our world of listeners, as it would be growing, all the cool things associated with people being the entrepreneurs that they eventually can be. And we worked with a lot of people in the home-based business arena, direct sales, affiliate marketing, MLM, also as we expand any kind of an entrepreneur. So we have people that do home improvements. We have people that do all kinds of stuff relative to consumer advocacy stuff. And when I was explaining what my vision was with Building Fortunes Radio to Pam, as she called me one time about something, I don't remember what it was, I told her, and she says, well, we're just deciding that we're going to become travel agents. And I said, travel, that would really fit perfectly in the Building Fortunes Radio platform, especially if you're doing it, Pam, because I know that you're really conscientious of what you do. You have huge levels of integrity. You're following up and following through, and you're always practicing what you preach, and you're always making sure you're on top of your game, and you're learning, and you're always researching, and always going above, beyond anybody's ever levels of expectations. And I said, that's wonderful. And she said, oh, and Ron's going to be helping me with this as well. And I was a little bit afraid of Ron, only because he never spoke to me. He was always like, when I called, hey, hold on 1 second, here she is. Okay. Or 1 second, I'll go get her. That was it, like the man of many words. You know, I think he had a complete vocabulary that I could guarantee of at least 12 words. But she said, we're going to do it with Ron. I didn't know that much about Ron. Now, the great thing was, as I learned a lot about Ron by doing our radio shows, he'll tell you a little bit about his background as we get started. But he is a gentleman who's very accomplished in what he's done before and super-duper thorough as well. So I knew that the combination of people would be making sure that they did the research and get the certifications to make sure that they put their names and credibility on the line with everything that they do. So I just really love having this radio show every Friday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And our lives are zipping by so quick, it feels like we were just here. And you can catch all of the previous radio shows on buildingfortunesradio.com/Harshman Travel, or you can go directly to harshmantravel.com. That's harshmantravel.com. And I always do ladies first on the introduction. So, Pam, thanks for being here.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having us again. It's always nice to be here. And you're right. It just seems like it was just day before yesterday that we were here. Well, I find, I guess the quicker time goes by anyway. So, anyway, so we're really super glad to be here and looking forward to the show tonight.
Excellent. So we usually go through a pretty lengthy background, but I think those people that want to hear more about your wonderful background can listen to the previous radio shows that we've done. So we're going to use a slightly different format. You're going to talk a little bit about, obviously you can tell a little bit about your background and things like that, because I still think that's important, but we're going to talk about what new things are going on, because you guys are revamping your website, and we're helping with different approaches and different things towards helping people with travel. And before I forget to mention it, for all those people listening in, remember this: it doesn't cost you as a customer any more money to use Harshman Travel. So you get all the goodies and you don't have to pay the extra. So you get all the benefits of having a qualified travel agent help you with what you're looking for without having to pay any extra, which really would lead me to believe that you would need that clinical psychologist that Ron was before before he started Harshman Travel. You would need a shrink to be able to figure out why in the world you wouldn't use Harshman Travel. So back to Pam, you can go first.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'll just do a really quick background on me, and that's my forte was law enforcement, followed by court administration until Ron and I got together, moved to Florida, and from there worked primarily on my own and real estate and selling Medicare supplements to the senior population, followed by a short stint of online marketing and some other little home-based business ventures until we got introduced to travel. And once Ron and I talked about that, it just seemed like it was a perfect fit for us, being baby boomers and empty nesters, and it allowed us to do some more travel on our own. And it's just been a wonderful fit for us. We love what we do. We love helping people, and yeah, it's really great way to go out your last year's working.
Right, and I remember as I've used your services before for advice and then also for help. I remember where I was stuck in several places, and I was like, "Hey, you got to get me out of here." I was doing some work with a company who booked my flights, and they didn't really book my flights with my best interest in mind, and I was able to call you up and say, "Hey, you got to get me out of here." They had me laying over in a place for like 8 hours or whatever, and you helped me with that. And then also when we were in a super big pinch for a rental car, you helped me with some advice with that sort of stuff, and you've helped other customers of ours as well. So we certainly appreciate your special attention. Okay, so now here's the man of many words. Now we've figured this out. When we first got, he was polite when he would just say, "Hold on, I'll go get Pam." But now we realize that Ron's got a great background. So Ron, over to you.
Okay, Peter. Well, you see, now you're paying for all those short, quick.
You caught up.
Hold on just a sec. She's right here, and now it's difficult to shut me up. Anyhow, a little bit about my background. We'll kind of cut it short. I spent many years as a licensed clinical psychologist. Very heavily involved both in the profession and the administration and regulation of the profession, and also obviously very heavily involved in my own clinical practice. And after that, moved on and did some consulting in the life and health insurance arena before we kind of looked at the prospect of semi-retirement. Pam and I decided to move from southeast Florida over to southwest Florida, and we got involved in raising alpacas. Pam got involved in a number of home-based business type things. And although I wasn't interested in those, I was certainly very supportive of her doing it. But when the idea of travel came up, it just kind of fit perfectly for us because from my perspective, I spent my entire clinical career working with people, turning on lights, holding up mirrors, helping people understand what their different options were and what the consequences of choosing this versus that. And when I looked at travel, it was a matter of, hey, I can be doing the same kind of thing, working with people, helping people, turning on lights, holding up mirrors, but instead of always working in stress situations, kids going off to jail or alcohol or drug treatment programs or going through divorces and child custody cases and all that kind of thing, we were going to be talking about people planning weddings and anniversaries and multi-generational family trips and major life occurrences like retirements or 50th anniversaries and that kind of thing. So taking a look at the travel industry from the perspective that I had during my entire clinical career, Pam and I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly, we're going to do it correctly, we're going to take all the training and get all the certifications necessary and all of the proper credentialing that we needed to do, and at the same time spend a good amount of time and energy finding those vendors with whom we felt we could legitimately promote and represent. Because just like with any other profession, Peter, and we've talked about this before, there are a large number of vendors. There's a tremendous number of cruise lines, hotels, resorts, car rental places, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's the good, the bad, and the not so good. And from our perspective, it was a matter of, if we were going to build a travel agency and we were going to build a good reputation in that travel agency, we needed to make sure that we were representing and promoting those vendors that we felt were concerned about their clients, concerned about giving good value, and really concentrating on good customer service. So a lot of our time has been doing exactly that. We've traveled a lot more than we would have had we not become travel agents, and certainly been able to take advantage of a lot of the perks that you get as a travel agent. But at the same time, we've taken on the responsibility of experiencing the different cruise lines, the different itineraries, et cetera, so that we could talk legitimately to clients and prospective clients and be talking from personal experience. And that has really worked out tremendously well. As you said, we have really focused on the fact that as legitimate professional travel agents, we do not charge our clients. The clients are not charged, to have our services. Basically, the vendors pay commissions, and if you don't use a travel agent, you go online and book yourself, they basically, still pay a commission, but they pay it to the website or whatever. And there's a tremendous difference between having a travel agent who knows you and speaks to you and understands what you're looking for and really customizes a vacation for you to make sure that you're getting what you're looking for in that vacation, as opposed to going online and seeing some great prices and booking that and then finding out later that you got what you paid for. So it really is important to use a travel agent and glean from their knowledge and understanding of the industry. And as Peter said, it does not cost the client anything at all. And in fact, in many, many instances, we are able to save our clients money because what's advertised online or what they can book themselves by going online is at a higher price than we get because of the mass marketing that we do and the mass selling that we do for the cruise lines. And in addition, when a travel agent books something, the travel agent is in most instances not only able to negotiate better pricing, but additional amenities. So, for example, when we put together group bookings of cruises, we don't only lock in very good rates for the staterooms, but we also make sure that anybody who we book on that particular cruise gets extra amenities like either free specialty dining or onboard credit or things in their stateroom, different amenities that they can take advantage of. And as I said, in almost all cases, we are ending up saving people money. But more important than that is we're in a position to pretty much guarantee that somebody's going to go on their vacation, they're not going to have any surprises, they're not going to find out that, oops, I forgot, I didn't understand that I had to pay gratuities on top of this price, and I didn't understand that they were also going to add on taxes and port charges and all that kind of stuff. All of that's taken care of so that when we say to a client, everything's been arranged for you, they go, they either check into their hotel, they pick up their car at the airport, they get on board an airplane, or they get on board a cruise, and they have their vacation, and everything goes smoothly, and they come home and they say, wow, I can't wait to go again. So I will shut up.
There we go. There we go. Well, we're going to do this. We're going to take our little commercial break first, and then make sure that you can take a listen to or go to harshmantravel.com, and then we're going to come back on the other side and talk about some of the cool things that are happening with Harshman Travel, as well as anything that might be happening in the travel industry. So here we go. I'll be right back.
You've been listening to the Harshman Travel Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio with your hosts Pam and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingle. This special segment can be heard again with almost any device connected to the Internet by going to buildingfortunesradio.com. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. Listen in often and get to know Pam and Ron. Go to the buildingfortunesradio.com website to listen in to the show. No matter where you're at in life, you can benefit by listening to and by working with Pam and Ron. Let them book your next cruise, vacation getaway, or group event. Listen to Harshman Travel Radio and witness their ability to pursue their dreams in the field they love. Thanks for listening. And now, back to the Harshman Travel Radio Show.
And we are back. Peter Mingles here with Pam and Ron Harshman, harshmantravel.com. Go to harshmantravel.com, find the newsletter, and then make sure you subscribe to the newsletter so you can get all the new things that might be happening. Plus, I think they give you some benefits, too, if you book some stuff and you're part of the newsletter program as well. So I will flip it back to whoever's going to go next.
All righty. Thank you, Peter. I wanted to talk about a few different things tonight. First of all, as you mentioned, Pam has revamped a lot of our website because we're really taking on a different approach going forward. We are changing a little bit of the layout of our radio show with your help and tremendous help and advice on that. The website is being modernized and upgraded, and we're also going to be adding on YouTube and things like that. A number of things that are happening in the cruise industry particularly, but in the travel industry generally, are really worth talking about a bit. We are very committed to NCL, Norwegian Cruise Lines, and they just announced that in addition to their brand new ships that are coming out, we are booked on the one new one that's going to be starting to do Alaska in this summer, and that's the brand new Bliss, which was specifically designed to cruise Alaska. It's got a 180-degree, two-level observation deck for people to be able to just sit and watch all the marine life and the wildlife and all of the landscape, etc. But that's one of their big ships that is really going to have a major, major impact. They hired the artist Weiland to do the whole deck or hull creation, and he is very famous for his concern about conservation, etc., and they've really formed a relationship there because Norwegian is totally committed to conservation of the marine life, etc., etc. So that's a big thing. They've just announced another brand new ship that's coming out. It's called the Encore, and it will start sailing in 2019, and we will be putting together a group offering for that ship. We will also be putting together a group offering for the Panama Canal at the end of 19 or the beginning of 2020. But Norwegian has just announced that they are putting together, or it's already put together, they are starting to build a brand new headquarters in Miami, and it's going to be a 166,000 square foot terminal. They expect it to open mid-19, and they're starting immediately for that, to start construction immediately for that building, and that's going to really change the Miami skyline. So that's a big thing. They are putting together new ships, as I've already mentioned, so that they're really committed to Miami. They've been sailing out of Miami since they were a Norwegian cruise line, or not Norwegian. What was they used to be? I don't remember. Anyhow, but it was NCL, but it was a different thing. And now they are totally committed to that. Disney has just announced that they are coming out with brand new ships, 2021, 2022, and 2023. These ships are going to be about 2,500 guests, and they are being specially designed with new technology that is going to be again, saving the marine life and conservation, consciousness there. So that's happening. And basically, when people are looking at cruises, we've talked about this before, but I saw an interesting article just came across my desk within the last day or so. And although we've talked before about different reasons why cruise is the best type of vacation, this article was written, and it cites 9 things, some of which we've talked about before, but I just thought I would quickly go over them because it really underlines the whole adventure of doing cruise vacations and why people are very much addicted to cruising. You talk to anybody who has been on a cruise, and although I have to admit, I'm sure there's some people that go on a cruise and hate it, don't ever want to go again, but the vast majority of people who are on a cruise, whether it's the first cruise or whatever, you talk to them, and they are either just getting off a cruise or they're planning their next cruise vacation. And it really is, from our perspective, looking at all the different options that there are that people have in terms of vacations and vacation types of locations and travel, et cetera, that they can do. Without a doubt, cruise comes up at the top of the list in terms of value for your dollar. So just quickly, I wanted to go through, they've got these 9 reasons. They're saying that, when you stay in a resort, you have one view and only one view for your entire stay. Whether you're cruising through the Inside Passage, through Glacier Bay, or the fjords of Norway, or the islands of the Caribbean, your view is constantly changing during the cruise. You visit multiple places, and you only unpack once. You take another vacation, you check into a hotel, you unpack, you're going to have to move the hotel, you have to pack again and get ready to unpack when you go to your next hotel. When you cruise, it allows you to visit multiple places, and you only unpack once. There's no checking in and out of hotels. There's no unpacking and packing. Every place you visit, you unpack when you embark, and you pack up again when you're ready to disembark. One of the other major things that I think really is important to look at is when people are on vacation, time is an important commodity. And when you are on a regular vacation, a land-based vacation, or even an air-based vacation, you are spending a lot of time traveling, flying from one place to another, driving from one place to another. And when you're on a cruise ship, and you're going from one place to another, you're having dinner, you're taking in a Broadway or comedy show, you're indulging yourself in a spa treatment. You could be, like Pam and I enjoy doing in the evening, we'll sit in a jacuzzi and watch a movie outside. I mean, you're traveling, but you're not you're not traveling. You're not responsible for moving from one place to the other. Other thing, and this is something that Pam certainly experienced, they talk about the opportunity to try new cuisine. And they say, are you afraid of ordering something that you've never tried before in a restaurant and then having to pay for something that you don't care for or sending it back? One of the greatest things about cruising is you have the opportunity to try whatever you want at no extra cost. And Pam, herself mentioned this the other, one of our later cruises, our last few cruises, when she said, she had an opportunity to order all these great things that sounded good, but she would never go and spend the money at a restaurant to try them out because she didn't know if she would like them or not. Knowing Pam, she liked everything, so it doesn't make any difference. But, for most people, it becomes another thing to be concerned about. And then one of the things that we talked about, certainly, that is a big, big issue for us is that our cruises do offer the most bang for the buck. And we have talked about figures before in terms of the travel industry statistics show that if you compare your money spent on a cruise, compare that with the money that would be spent on a comparable land-based, all-inclusive resort type of vacation, you're looking at a minimum 30 to 40% savings. And, they mentioned in this article here that, cruises can start for $50 a day. Sometimes you get them as low as $30 a day for an inside cabin. But that includes all of your food, your lodging, your entertainment, your transportation from one place to the other. So it really, really is value-packed vacation. The other big thing, and certainly we're going to enjoy this on the Bliss, when we go to Alaska, they've hired the Jersey Boys as their main entertainment. And that's one of the things that they're talking about, whether you are going on a Broadway-style show like the Cats on the Oasis of the Seas or Witches of Paris on the MSC Divina, you get these shows, and it's no extra cost. It's part of your one fare that you're paying. The other nice thing that they're talking about is the sunrises and sunsets at sea are nothing. Short of incredible. You just don't get anything like that on a land vacation. And you're sitting on your balcony on the ship or anywhere in the ship, and you've got, basically 360 degrees of just
gorgeousness,
beautiful nature. So that's
pictures.
something that's there. The other thing that's enjoyable about a cruise is that you really see people regardless of age. We've been on cruises where you see 60, 70-year-olds, and they're dancing as if they were 20 years old. Sometimes they look as if they're 70, trying to be 20. But, you see these people who are just having a good time being themselves, and it really is a very enjoyable thing. And even as a clinical psychologist, I guess I've spent so many years sitting back observing people that for me that's something that's really second nature. But I can just sit down at any chair around on any of the decks and just watch the people go by, and it's really fascinating. And then the last thing they bring up is something that I talked about earlier, where they are really finding that taking a cruise is an addictive behavior because there are so many different places to go, so many different cruise lines, so many different things that people can take a cruise for, whether it's culinary experience or wine experience, wine tasting, whether it's just to go to different places and see the geography and the history, or if it's just to go and be together as a couple, as a family, multi-generational family. You really, really have a wonderful, wonderful vacation, and especially if it's planned appropriately. And they've often said, I've heard it said so many times in the cruise industry particularly, there is a cruise for everybody. There are different cruise lines, different cruise ships, different sizes. I was going to a webinar the other day where they were talking about touring Alaska on a ship that's got like 150 passengers. And then you talk about, Disney's new ships that are coming out, 2,500. You talk about the Royal Caribbean ship that just was, came on its first embarkation, over 5,000 guests. So there are different cruises, different itineraries, different things that are available. You can take kids on cruises. Many of the cruise lines have very specific programs for kids from 2 to 3 years up to teens, and they're really well organized. You've got cruise lines that have specialty programs for autistic kids. You've got different cruise lines that focus on different cultural things where they actually bring on board experts in different areas, especially some of the faith-based tours. They actually bring on some of the people who are very, very knowledgeable in either the history or the religion or whatever, so people can go and really, go and just have, a 3-day Bahama cruise where the drinks are all free to a 6-month around the world cruise. So we love it, and we certainly invite people to come with us. We are constantly looking at different itineraries and different ships and different dates to try to accommodate the different wishes that people are telling us about, and that's where we are.
There we go. And one of the things, I think you might have mentioned it, but I just want to just reemphasize it towards the end over here, is besides getting a better deal when you're working with Harshman Travel, on a lot of these cruises, they have down payments that are available, so they're really affordable. You don't have to pay for the whole thing up front. Somebody might think that it's a little bit out of their league, but they can actually put a small down payment and then kind of pay it along their way, and even get refunds sometimes on those things if their plans have changed. So just amazing things, and that's why you want to talk to Pam and Ron over at HarshmanTravel.com. So having said that, let's wrap up our show, and Pam or Ron, I'll let you be the one to wrap it up. There you go.
All righty, Peter. Thank you much. And as you're saying, it's very, very true. Right now, with any of the cruise lines that we're representing, they have $50 deposits, and you don't pay in full until 90 days before you actually sail. So we have a number of people that are just making payments on the our end of September Alaska cruise, and the final payment is not due until the middle of June. And for 5 days last week, they were offering $1 deposit could hold your stateroom. It was only for 5 days, but, it was a $1 deposit, and in fact, we booked somebody for our Alaska cruise. He put down $1, and the rest of his payments will be made, as he chooses, but he doesn't have to have the final payment until the middle of June. So it's
excellent. Okay, good.
Available for anybody who wants to take advantage. Just give us a call and let us help you plan your next vacation.
And all this information is on HarshmanTravel.com. They have the radio shows over there, and then you can also listen to the radio shows on BuildingFortunesRadio.com. So we welcome our listeners to make sure they take advantage of this, and we're going to catch you next week. Bye for now. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Peter. Have a good week.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Harshman Travel Radio Show segment on Building Fortunes Radio with your hosts Pam and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the BuildingFortunesRadio.com website to hear previous radio shows with Pam and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingles. Pam and Ron's success as entrepreneurs has allowed them to pursue their passion in the travel industry. Listen to Harshman Travel Radio Show and learn about Pam and Ron as they discover the joy that comes from being part of the travel industry. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. Pam and Ron Harshman and Peter Mingles and I want to say thanks for listening and ask you to spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.